So I got a gentleman who's going to come out and help clean up the mess out there in my car. I don't know how bad it is. I'm assuming it's probably been messed with since I was over there last night, but I don't know yet. Tomorrow there's a gentleman who's gonna help me to set up a bank account. That will hopefully make it so that I can be able to actually receive the money that people keep saying they want to send. It'll be the first time. There's been a few spots here and there where people have been able to send Western Union, which was real nice of them. The problem is people don't take it seriously. They don't take the assault seriously. They don't take the vandalism seriously. They don't take the immoral police response seriously. When the police show up and they just want to play word games and head games, and you got to call 911, 988, anything like that. It's a really fucked up situation. Anyway, there's a lady, short lady, white curly hair, who lives on the corner here. She got to see at least one of these situations. I've gone through and written this stuff down multiple times to give to officers. Multiple occasions, the officers have talked over me and played word games and head games and literally telling me anything that happens to me is not illegal. Really? I bet you it's illegal if I do it. Anyway, let's take a look at the damage. My rear window. It's been raining in there for days. Rock, broken glass, rock. The guy who's coming to clean it up, I wish he'd help me to... It's all Andrew Wolnez. Kicked in the whole front of my vehicle, kicked in the back of it. The rocks, I don't know who did it. When they chucked that thing at my vehicle, I was actually in the vehicle. People all got these great and mighty ideas of move elsewhere, move elsewhere, move elsewhere. You have no idea how many times I've moved. So many times. All right, I gotta set this down because I gotta take the stuff on my belt off. It's getting a bit too heavy for me. This level of bullying and harassment, I don't understand how it is people think it's okay. And a lot of people who claim that they want to help, I explain to them the legal process. But of course, they want to hear it from the cops, right? They want to hear this from whoever in a government agency. And they'll make time to do that in 6 to 8 weeks. That doesn't help me in the least bit. Anyway, tomorrow evening I should be able to have a routing number that I can give to you if you want to pitch. Oh my God, my fucking back is killing me. I'm not asking to be let off on things that I did. But if something's necessary, it's necessary. And that's something all of my public pretenders should have worked on. What's necessary to defend your client. And that means showing the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. But when the police are suppressing evidence, your own public pretender is suppressing evidence. And of course, you've got the prosecution. What do? Well, they try to twist things into something that ain't. That's their job, right? No, it's not. It should be the job of the courts to discover the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And all of my public pretenders want to bully me into doing things that are against my best interest. Obviously, against my best interest. Obviously, these things are happening. Obviously, there are people who have seen it. The lady who lives there has seen it. There's one of the boards they threw. Now, of course, I tried to get the cops to pay attention. What'd they do? Talk over me and play fucking word games. Sadler's always got a fucking excuse too, don't he? There are no good people in Tillamookkk, Oregon. Good people don't sit idly by while things like this happen to disabled folk. Good people don't make excuses for this crap. But you get to see that the people here, they'll make excuses for my predators because I'm not a local. Shouldn't matter if I'm a local or not, the law is the law. Hello. This is seriously my life, people. Although if you are in Tillamookkk and you have tire issues, I do want to say that Tillamookkk Tire did me right. They treated me well. There's a lady there who hooked me up on all 4 tires. I did them 2 at a time. That's all I could afford. But I can't afford a vehicle that doesn't run, and I can't do the things people are expecting of me without a running vehicle. If these people weren't so busy vandalizing my things so I can't leave, it would be a lot easier to leave. If they weren't so busy taking advantage of me for what little I have, it'd be a lot easier to leave. If I hadn't been bullied into spending all of my money on trying to get myself moved here, because that's what was required of me, apparently, to make a fucking police report. And they kept on changing the rules. Now, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I don't particularly like it. And my headlight was having issues, but it's been kicked out since. The same thing with the tail light. And then there's the rocks. Isn't it beautiful? Are the cops going to do anything about this? Of course they're not. It's a good thing the rock went through the back window instead of the front one. I'll try to post the links to the conversation with Harold, and the ones with Wonez are pretty easy to pull up. The ones with Chris Stafford that are recent are easy to pull up. A lot of the other ones I gotta dig for. There's a lot of 911 calls and a lot of 988 calls, and you can hear in every single one of them I'm trying to get the safety issue with the police addressed. All these folks that I'm mad at them for a reason. It's because they procrastinated. I told them what needed to be done and what I needed help with. And then we jumped through all the things that they wanted to jump through, only for them to be told that we need to do the things that I said from the beginning. So then they tell me, oh, well, you need to do this, and this. I'm like, yeah, I already know that. I already know what's being required of me. I already know that I've tried that already by myself and it hasn't worked. What I'm telling you is that I need your help in doing it. I'll be blown off as if I'm some schizophrenic, violent nut job. In reality, I'm fucking bullied over and over again everywhere I go. These people trying to ignore the law and just bully me into going somewhere else. Smash my things, beat on me, threaten me, and harass me. You're goddamn right I'm angry about it. Who wouldn't be? Who wouldn't be angry about these things happening to them everywhere they go over things they didn't do? Oh, these people accuse me of killing Natalie and being a rapist and being a child molester. Well, you know what? I'm not. I've never even been charged with that shit. Do you know why? Because I don't do that shit. And these folks' cure for all of my problems is to move my stuff from one place to another, to another, to another. That eats up a lot of time, and it just results in me needing to depend on others in order to get my things back. These folks who have had the great idea of moving my stuff into their place and it'll save me money on storage. Well, and that doesn't work because the access isn't there and those people have a lot of unreasonable demands. Like, hey, I need to turn this shit into the police and I need someone to help me to turn it into the police. But I need you to understand the safety issues because they're going to try talking over us, and I need someone to actually speak up and say, hey, this stuff is happening. Or they keep pretending it didn't happen. So we got people pretending like if I don't say nothing, nobody's going to mess with me, and that's just bullshit. You guys don't stop to understand the financial bullshit that I've been forced into. The homelessness that I've been forced into. No matter what, there's just excuse after excuse after excuse why it's magically okay to treat me this way. I wanted it. I needed it. I chose it. I deserved it. I just needed to man up. They got real police work to do. No matter what, there's some excuse not to investigate or document the shit that's happened. Meanwhile, I document it live. Tomorrow evening, I should be able to have a bank account and routing number so I can get hopefully some donations. See, that's something I was working on before Natalie died that literally has not come to fruition yet. These are little things to you guys, but it's a very big thing to me because it prevents me from having anything. My predators were donated literally tens of thousands of dollars. Those are Natalie's predators too. But you guys don't care about my side. You want to pretend I'm a schizophrenic. Well, if I was schizophrenic, would that make it okay to beat on me like people do? Break my window like people do? If I was schizophrenic, does this look like schizophrenia or does this look like my shit's broken? Then you guys, of course, you want to get on as trolls. Most of you do. Some of you get on here with good intentions of telling me, oh, well, I'll look some stuff up like I'm fucking retarded, like I haven't been here for 16 months and gone to every service by myself alone already. I don't need you to tell me one more fucking number that I've already called 10,000 times. What do I need? I need someone to be a friend or family member. I need someone to advocate for me as a civilian. Without civilian oversight, these guys can do whatever they want. A friend or family member would take the time to find out what's going on and then help the victim turn it in. I am the victim here. And a lot of y'all want to keep on going, oh, Natalie's the victim. You know what? Natalie is a victim Yes, absolutely. But are you going to pretend that she's literally the only victim that can ever possibly exist? She is absolutely a victim of long-term abuse from her friends and her family. Natalie and I were friends, and the evidence shows that. Now, how many of those folks over there at Safeway? And don't fucking make excuses for them. Don't say, oh, well, you know, they're just working. That is inappropriate. A lot of the staff there, instead of doing the appropriate thing, wanted to tell me to do things that are against the rules. And they got recorded doing so. And there's a way to stop this abuse. It requires people actually caring and actually getting involved. I'm gonna light me a cigarette and go outside and help you. Do what?
You got a garbage can or something to put on this mess thing?
I don't.
I got a rat infestation from my house. Swimming with rats just now. I just saw it. I'll be back. I'm gonna bring a can.
Yes, sir. Do what?
Just start sweeping. I'll be back.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna go get a can.
People harm me and I'm told it's my fault. See, I'm spending so much time and so many resources trying to clean up the bullshit that people did to me that none of my resources get to be spent on defending myself, on getting myself safe. These people's idea of getting myself safe is to bully me to move somewhere else every fucking goddamn time instead of doing something about the abuse, because I don't matter as a human being. Fuck all of you. All of you who believe this is okay, all of you who look the other way. My friends just wanted to pawn me off on other people. Well, they promised to help me while I had resources, while I had money. But then when my money was gone, they were gone. Every single day. Every day I go through this. You got stupid people that want to type advice. Start new, start new. How many times have I fucking moved? There is no starting new. All right? All of my disability money, all of my back pay, all of that was spent jumping through hoops for the fucking courts. All of it. Or paying people to help that never did. They had their own ideas about how to do things. Start new, you mean move somewhere else. And I've done that repeatedly, and you just want to type that. That's your easy fix for every goddamn thing. That doesn't fucking help. I'm harmed everywhere I go. Everywhere I fucking go. Literally everywhere I go. I'm blown off. All right, I'm told to go in and tell the people at Safeway when this shit happens. I go in and I get to hear, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Move somewhere else, go somewhere else, go somewhere else. That's not fucking help, asshole. And that's why I keep saying, hey, stop doing that shit. 5 goddamn minutes. 5 minutes of you thinking about it is not enough for you to fucking understand what's going on, especially since you're running with assumptions. I cannot outrun what people see on the goddamn internet. I can't outrun their fucking opinions. Do you think the fucking internet is only in Tillamookkk, Oregon? No, you want to type a bunch of fucking retarded shit at me. A bunch of retarded shit that doesn't stop the violence. Doesn't stop the assaults. And that's your solution for everything. Meanwhile, all these people complaining they can't hear me over traffic. Well, guess what? I get pretty loud because of traffic. And then I'm treated like I'm some sort of a bad person because of that. People pretend that because I get on my telephone and set up on YouTube about the violence and the abuse that I actually fucking endure, that I'm a bad person who deserves it because I spoke up. I'm not. All these people who want to vandalize me into moving, and then the cops want to bully me into moving, and then the judge wants to repeatedly, over and over and over again, talk over me into moving just over the hill. No! Enough fucking bullying me into moving. And when you make that same suggestion over and over and over again, do you have any idea how expensive it is to move? How much it sets me back? No, you fucking don't. You don't even try. It's not just monetarily. Any connections that I've made, I lose them immediately because I have to move. I have to try to show people in person what I'm going through. Because that's what I have the ability to do. I can show them some of this stuff on the phone. On YouTube. God damn, my wrist hurts. But all people want to do is get onto my YouTube and type at me what to do. Over and over and over again. Why don't you move? Why don't you move? Why don't you move? Moving does not stop this. A lot of you guys came to my channel because you watched that dude who just made a show recently about Natalie. You don't care if it's true or not. You just assume that it's fucking true and you come at me. Or you come on here and you want to type pretty shit that's expensive. I have no fucking money for your goddamn suggestions. I have no ability to do the things that you're saying over and over again. You say I look crazy with my wild hair. Well, I'd like to get a haircut. But I have to budget my money. Meanwhile, everything out here on the streets is more expensive. The guy who stopped by to help clean this up, I needed help turning it in, goddammit. Turning it in. We get to see the cops didn't give a shit any fucking excuse. Any fucking excuse. Let's take a look. See, there's still a rock there. Yep, what gentleman. You say I deserve it for speaking up. These people fucking assault me, call me a murderer, call me a rapist, call me a pedophile. I'm none of those things. Yeah, this is bullshit. This all right here, we got this recorded on video when all of this happened. Andrew Wolness. What a gentleman.
Okay, so putting all the glass in this bucket.
Yes, sir.
Get all this crap up, cleaned up, all these rocks out of the fuck away.
Yeah, I've cleaned before. Ah. There's a rock. There's a rock. Got the big one already. Jesus, that was done with me.
Clean this up better.
Sorry, my back's real fucked up.
Yeah,
Thank you very
my
much.
place just infested with fucking rats. I heard them this morning when I woke up, but they're all over the fucking backyard, all over the fucking place. Trying to come in the house, eat, you know, it's fucking. I need to get some rat traps somewhere. Fucking Sunday though.
They have some at grocery outlet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good idea. I never thought about that.
Wait, let me pour it out so it doesn't all fall into my car.
Yeah, we're gonna have to clean it up one way. You know.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, if you want.
We'll get
that
just
way.
the loose stuff off.
You go and do that now if you want. Let's clean this place up. The neighbors are not gonna like it.
No, they already don't like it.
Yeah, but you gotta watch your hand. Those
I need to try to get the cops to investigate it.
Those splinters will just reach right into your hand. You can't use your bare hand on this type of glass.
All this because people pretend I might hurt them.
No, or they think what you did is what the problem is.
What?
The problem is what they think you have done, you know.
Yeah.
And really, it's I'm not really a big judge. I'm not the judge, but if we were in prison, I'd have to see your paperwork. All right, bullshit.
Well,
I don't want to look at anything right now. I got too much on my mind. I'm just trying to give you a hand here. Don't think bad about you, you know you're trying to live.
That's all right, and thank you very much. Every time I see you, you talk to me like I'm a person. Thank you.
That's better.
sir. Thank you. Well, I did a lot of the sweeping, but I wasn't able to get a good grab on it. Still a lot of glass here, but what can we do? And here's the thing, the people who are throwing this stuff through my window are using Natalie Ballinger as their excuse to do so. I've recorded them screaming it. Some of them have recorded themselves screaming it. This channel is about long-term abuse of disabled adults, forced homelessness, not being able to have a haircut. It's about being a disabled person on the streets and having to depend on people that just don't care if you're hurt, including law enforcement who hurt us frequently. When I'm harmed, I'm sent around in mental health circles. That's right. I like to go to the cops about things like this. Yep, they busted out this window last night. They busted out the one in the rear of my vehicle a few nights ago. I recorded the guy who kicked in the shit side of my vehicle here. His name is Andrew Wolnez. And he brags about just wanting to fuck with my head, just wanting to mess with me. Between bullying people in real life and speaking up on YouTube, I'll speak up on YouTube. I'm tired of people getting violent with me. It's only wrong if I do it back though, right? And then you say two wrongs don't make a right. Let me ask you something. Someone comes into your house with a shotgun and is shooting at your goddamn family and at you. Is it wrong to shoot back? All right, now, let's imagine that these people, there's more than one, and you don't have a gun. What are you going to do? Best thing you can do is try to get your family out safe by whatever means possible. There's a lot of people who keep harming me. And I get the recordings and the cops pretend that they're not real, that I made it up. They talk over me and try to reword everything I say. When I try to speak about the abuse, we all know that sexual assault isn't the only kind of abuse. We know that heinous crimes are committed every day against the elderly, against children, against the disabled. We also know that these services that we're supposed to go to for help make a lot of money off of the therapy services and the drug counseling services. And then the housing here, they take over half of what I make in disability in order to go to Helping Hands, where several of my predators live. And I'm told I need to go there. When Natalie Ballinger was killed, it guaranteed that no matter where I move, someone's going to recognize me. Someone, more than likely, who's on drugs or alcohol, staying up way later than they should, screwing around on these true crime sites and believing anything that they read, anything that they hear, and then coming at me with a vengeance. You typed to me that I should move. You should look at the situation in Windsor. Same thing. You should look at the situation in Astoria. Same thing. You should look at the situation in the Dalles, Oregon. Same thing. The homeless people in this country are treated horribly. We are treated worse than immigrants. We're treated worse than black people. We're treated worse than Jews. We're treated worse than Asians. We're treated worse than men, worse than women. And our ranks comprise peoples of each of those groups. And then, of course, I have to reach out on YouTube for help turning in the abuse, because in real life, yeah, people will help me to sweep up the mess, and I'm glad for that. I really am. But because I'm a male, I'm expected to deal with it in a violent way, and that is the problem that I've had with the people at Safeway since the very start. I need help turning in the abuse. I need the witnesses to come forward with me. Miranda, she's one of the witnesses, and what was her excuse? Well, she said that she got in trouble with Safeway for being on one of my videos, and that's not cool. That was the very day that she got to see Andrew Wolnez assaulting me at First Christian Church, trying to break my property. He rode by several times. Was it last night? I think it was last night. The night before, screaming stuff at my vehicle. There's one witness who wrote a statement. I'm trying to find it now. There's also a lot of people who just watched and let it happen. I was kind enough to try to withhold putting people's numbers on the internet. I was kind enough to take the abuse while these people didn't even try to understand how overwhelming this is. When you couldn't make a call because of the restricted calls over and over and over again. When you can't unlock your phone because, well, you're getting restricted calls over and over and over again. You can't complete a call to the emergency services because you've got a restricted call over and over and over again. However, these people aren't enduring that. When I give out their numbers, I know they're not going to have to endure that. You tell me to move. That's your solution every time. I should just go elsewhere. I should move on. I should start over. You say it 100 different ways, you're still saying the same goddamn thing over and over again. It's not a solution. Helping the victim turn in the abuse is the solution. Look at the evidence, help the victim turn it in. When it's a person in crisis, you do it one-on-one. It is important to record everything. Whenever I call 911, I have to address the safety issue with the police. Like Officer Martinez, Officer Lothman. You guys don't know the history. You don't know the history with these officers for the last 16 months. You don't know the history with the homeless for the last 16 months. I'm stuck out here with a bunch of addicts, with a bunch of programs that are set up to, they're supposed to help addicts, but they don't. They just ensure that your American tax dollars are going to pay, well, government services their own money, right? Well, no, it's your money. The police say, oh, well, we don't do written reports here. You have to tell us what happened and we'll tell you if it's illegal. And then they tell me they didn't investigate because I didn't write it down. See, we've got this person on here who's really just been trolling for days, calling themselves Baby Angel. I don't need suggestions. I've been telling you outright what I need help with, and you pretend that I'm talking out my ass, dude, because I'm mentally retarded. It's disrespectful. And then you get angry with me when you're being disrespectful. Take a look at what I'm going through and find out why, instead of getting on here for attention and then playing victim when I tell you, hey, what you're doing is destructive. It's not helpful. It's harmful. You're running with your assumptions instead of listening to the words that are coming out of my mouth. All these folks who said that they would help me turn it in, what did they do? What did Siggy Lork do? Yeah, he was one of my YouTube viewers in Germany. He was going to help turn it in after 3 weeks. It was impossible to coordinate with the guy. He wanted to make 10,000 suggestions in order to help me. I'm like, dude, it's pretty straightforward to turn this abuse in. Meanwhile, I have to worry about my battery because I have to be able to turn on my camera when people are screaming the N-word at me, throwing things at my vehicle like pumpkins, rocks, tampons, screaming the N-word at me over and over again, hating on me for being a homosexual even though I'm not. I'm not a heterosexual either. I'm not into anybody.
Want to tow this thing or what?
I've got nowhere to tow it.
Get that pole out of there before it falls down and hit somebody in my rock.
Yes, sir.
Dropping the glass, and you're gonna have to sweep this up again. Anyways, I got a rat infestation. Go back in and make sure they don't get into my fucking place and eat my food.
Well, thank you. See how much battery I got left? 70%. That's quite a bit. I got your phone number. Yes, sir. There's a couple of young ladies. Well, there was one young lady named Maddie Boa. And I'd always tried to run off the youngins from the homeless crowd because it makes us look bad and gives people the impression that we're all predators out to touch children. So we try to run them off. Oh, come on, what did I do? There's some sort of filter thing I just did. I don't know. Anyway, Maddie Boa was friends with a couple of young ladies. Maddie Boa came down when she was about 15 or 16. She'd been assaulted by her dad for coming out as a lesbian, and I was the person she wanted to talk to. And I talked to Officer Ramos and Officer Paddock of Boulder, Colorado about it, and they said, well, they have as much of a right to be there as you do. So that's how it is. I don't know what I did. Whatever thing I accidentally hit on my phone, we'll see what happened. When you guys want to help making suggestions over and over and over again and rewording it over and over and over again, that shows you don't care. That shows that you're interested in what you're interested in, and that's what you want to know. Your interests, your curiosities, that's your questions. And then, of course, your help is to tell me what to do. An at-risk and disabled adult out on the streets has to have a friend or family member help turn it in, or they will be blown off every single time. They will not give us the opportunity to write a written report. And then later on, they'll tell us it's our fault for not making a written report. They won't let you tell on them. You're told to go to the police agency that harmed you to turn them into themselves, and then when they bully you and retaliate against you for telling on them, You're told it's your fault. It's horrible. Now here's the thing, we got lots of people who have opinions. Their opinions don't stop the assaults. They don't stop the abuse. They don't stop the fact that I've been forced into homelessness. Forced into it. Because when you're a male victim, nobody fucking cares. Look at how many witnesses there are to the abuse. And look how I'm treated when I go to them for help. When they claim that they're my friend, that they're going to help. And do they help? No, they want to make the same suggestions over and over again. I've tried those things. The only thing that helps is having a friend or family member help to turn it in right away. This person calling himself Michael Tartan. We're going to take a screenshot of the crap he's typing, and then we're going to do what? Hide user on this channel. That's what was done to my voice and my evidence in every single court date. That's what was done to my voice and my evidence every time I went to mental health. That was done to me every time I went to police. That was done to me every time I went to friends. You say, oh, well, this person listened or that person listened. No, you listened to their suggestions and you realize they didn't hear a goddamn word I had to say. They weren't listening to understand. They had suggestions in their head based on this fantasy idea of what I'm living through. And it's harmful and it's mean. If you're going to be my friend, help me to turn in the abuse. Help me to turn it in. Don't make me make these 911 calls alone. Look at the evidence so you can verify it. So when they start trying to sell a false narrative, you can speak up. And please stop typing pretty stuff that does absolutely jack shit. I know you're trying to be nice. Fucking don't. Typing stuff like, keep your head up, bro. First of all, I'm not your bro. Second of all, keep your head up. Doesn't do jack shit to stop the abuse. Doesn't do jack shit to turn it in. If there's a will, there's a way. That's like saying you just need to fucking love yourself. Stop. Then we got this person getting on here, trolling me like many people do. Want to type that they're little kids. What do we do with these people? We're getting rid of them immediately. Hide user on this channel. We don't need children on this channel. People trying to pretend that I'm a pedophile is an excuse to break my shit. And you make excuses for my predators. You say it's my fault for trying to get help? What the fuck is wrong with you? That's fucking dismissive. It's mean-hearted. And you goddamn well know it is. I'm a disabled person, and you have any idea how many people who claim to be my friend wanted to do the get a job thing? I'm tired of it. I'm tired of you people pretending that I come here just for attention. No, I'm trying to get help stopping the abuse. That's what this channel was for from the very start. To show evidence of the fucking truth. But look at what I've been forced through to try to show that truth. Look what I have to endure, and you blame me. You blame the victim for being victimized because the victim speaks up. And you say, don't talk about yourself in the third person like that. I'm trying to get it through your thick skulls that I'm victimized everywhere I go. Move on, start fresh. That's not help. That doesn't help
me to start fresh. It doesn't help me to have a safety network in place in the next place I move to. I don't want to deal with these trolls. I would have liked to be able to send a screenshot to Natalie Ballinger of the things that were happening before she died. Natalie, this is what people are doing to me. But nobody would help me with that, no matter how much time or money I spent on their empty promises. And then they always wanted things. In exchange, I have to this, I have to that, and it's all expensive. And I have to live on disability money, and I have to stay with people that don't have my best interests at heart. We got another one of these troll accounts on here calling himself Dexter's Disciple. I got to deal with a lot of these creepy fuckers. So what do? Hide user on this channel for the guy who is just trying to be a jerk. See, that's the thing. When a male victim comes forward, you just call him a homosexual. When a male victim comes forward, you tell him to get a job. You literally ignore everything that I'm going through, and you see these trolls on here. Wouldn't it be nice if I could have gone to the police? When Natalie Ballinger and Maddie Boa and Alicia Ballinger did not care who hurt me or how many times. They did not care that I couldn't see my friends or family without being assaulted over things that literally never happened. To this day, Alicia Ballinger could come forward and admit that I didn't rape or molest her or her sister. Natalie Ballinger, in her last public post, admitted that we never dated. My predators, like Kara Johnson Miles, who I needed help turning in, got to get their words in my court dates. Well, my friends were telling me, because of where they lived, that they weren't able to turn it in because they weren't there. Really? Because Kara Johnson Miles was able to turn in whatever she wanted from Texas. It didn't even matter if it was fucking true. You know why I broke the law and literally spoke about it live on fucking YouTube, live on Facebook? Why I literally typed about it? Because my friends wouldn't help me turn in those crimes that were committed against me. And I knew that the police would listen to my fucking predators. The ones I'd been trying to turn in all along. The ones that people kept on letting me know, hey, these people are not trying to help you. Kara Johnson Miles is not an autism advocate. She's getting onto these Natalie Ballinger sites. And she's slandering your name. And you pretend that that doesn't matter. Like people going viral with that shit. Doesn't result in people harming me everywhere I go. If I didn't try to get help, then people wouldn't harm me? Is that what you're pretending? That I shouldn't try to get help when I'm abused because it offends you? I'm not the right goddamn color? Phoenix? I'm not gay enough? Tori Wentworth? I'm not straight enough for these people in this town. I'm overwhelmed. I don't have the resources to keep jumping around doing this shit. Now, this person calling himself Dexter's Disciple is getting blocked. I'm not dealing with none of that bullshit. None of you sicko psycho fuckers. That's not cool. Anyway, you guys get on here and you type at me. You get to see that I'm overwhelmed by it. See, that's one of the things about being, well, I do say autistic, but the thing is, it's a PTSD trait. When you guys Imagine you're trying to tell one person about the abuse that you're going through, and they won't shut up because they're busy making excuses or they're busy making demands. And how overwhelming that is. I want you to put yourself in a scenario where you've just been raped and you're going to your friends because you were just raped. And you're trying to tell them who it is that did it, what happened and where. But they're busy wanting to ask 10,000 questions or tell you, you just got to love yourself. Have you tried moving elsewhere? Have you tried moving away from all of your friends and family and your support network? And it's hurtful and it's harmful. Now imagine that you have to go to YouTube because nobody that you know in real life is going to do anything except make empty promises if you bring cigarettes. With all the things that these people in this town did, how many of those things helped me to turn in the crimes committed against me to the police, to law enforcement? In the very beginning, that's the only chance that we have. As a homeless person, I'm going to get treated like a junkie. I'm going to get treated like a drug addict, like a schizophrenic. It's just assumed. Then you get to see in the news over and over and over again, they put the connection of drug addiction and homelessness. Yes, but not every homeless person is a drug addict. And they're getting their drugs from people in houses. They're getting their drugs from people like the Tillamookkk Police Department. Look it up. Look up Ray Rau, R-A-Y-R-A-U. Somebody just typed on there that I don't have PTSD. No, I absolutely do. That's one of the things that many of y'all prey on. You've already decided what my diagnoses are. You've already decided. You've already decided what I should do. You have any idea how many people, right after Natalie died, wanted to type at me that they're trying to help me, they're trying to find a place for me to stay, and they sent me to the fucking shelter? Are you fucking kidding me? I know where the shelter is. I was the homeless liaison in Boulder, Colorado for 7 years. 7 years. I know where the shelter is. I know where the warming shelters were. And I say were because they shut them all down. You get to see how many of these people get on here and they want to troll and bully. This is not the appropriate place for this. This isn't where I should be posting the evidence of abuse. But without a friend or family member turning it in with me turning it in by myself just results in me getting bullied by law enforcement. This person calling himself Rico Hernandez just got deleted from my channel. Bye-bye. We got this Sparky feller wanting to call me a liar. He's gone too. Now, all of you guys typing on here, you get to see the bullying that these people do. This is psychologically damaging. And you say, don't get on YouTube. That's your solution. Well, nothing else works. At least on YouTube, I can speak. At least on YouTube, I can address the issues. Now, let's take a look at the stuff from Marcia Estrada. She was my mental health worker in Nebraska. One of them, anyway. I saw several. Y'all pretend that I'm schizophrenic, and I'm not. I'm overwhelmed. Dina G typed, it's not any sort of mental illness. You are just having a perfectly normal reaction to your life. Well, that's the thing, is that literally everything that is a reaction to being abused, they can use to try to pretend that you're having a not natural reaction. Let me explain something to you. If you're being bullied like this, are you going to want to live? If you're separated from your friends and your loved ones and you're forced to spend all of your money jumping through hoops for the courts because the police won't do anything about people assaulting you, breaking your vehicle over and over and over again, and then you're told you deserve it. If you hadn't spoken out, if you hadn't recorded it on YouTube, it wouldn't have happened. You shouldn't have recorded. It's all your fault, your fault, your fault. It's horrible. We got some troll on here typing about meth, thinking it could help me. No, I haven't tried meth in well over 20 years. The last time I tried meth, I was 23, and it put me to sleep. There's no reason to try it. As far as meth, just not my thing. I've never tried cocaine, never tried heroin. I got a note from a witness here. We'll make sure we cover up her contact information. This is about Walnez breaking the protection order repeatedly. This is one of 3 times he did it that night. It says, on Friday, February 16th, 5:52 p.m., I witnessed Andrew Walnez ride by Townsend Hall Senior Citizen Center and yell out, "Ha," towards Mr. Shawn Schwartz. Shawn was across the street speaking with me when this incident happened. When we're being abused, we're sent to mental health, and then mental health plays us around in circles. All right, someone's demanding attention. Yanni Balani typed, that's called CPTSD, my friend. Yes, complex post-traumatic stress disorder. All right, so we'll turn it over on the bottom because it's Marcia Estrada. It's got her phone number on it. It says, January 25th, 2022, to whom it may concern. I have been seeing Shawn Schwartz on a weekly basis. Sorry, loud noises. I have been seeing Shawn Schwartz on a weekly basis for outpatient therapy since completing a pre-treatment assessment on October 18th, 2021. During this evaluation, Shawn described symptoms he experienced on a regular basis. From the information he provided, I have diagnosed him with post-traumatic stress disorder. This comes from years of trauma and inconsistencies in a person's life, often starting as a young child. I also believe Shawn to be on the autism spectrum, which causes difficulties in adapting to social settings. The most common symptoms of this disorder are anxiety, hypervigilance, and a feeling of impending doom. Now, that feeling of impending doom and the hypervigilance. Hypervigilance is most commonly associated with long-term abuse. If you're a woman, now you notice I use rape a lot as my example in this because that's one you care about. I was raped as a child, and what I'm going through now is worse than rape. There are other victims of my predators, like Teresa Macelia, who said the same thing. Now that hypervigilance, being afraid of people doing it again, always having to look over your shoulder, being called paranoid. Now let's see how it's treated at the hospital. You go to the hospital, you tell them that you're being abused like you're supposed to, like you were instructed to do, and you get to the hospital and you're bullied at the hospital. They don't care about the abuse. They're not going to focus on that. They're not going to follow the rules. They're not going to follow the laws. And for months and months and months, you have to take that abuse. Oh, God, my nose is itching. Like here, for example, when I first had to go to the police here, I had to go alone, and I got blown off, dismissed. There were lots of witnesses. They didn't bother to talk to them. There was cameras there. They didn't bother to look at them. It's horrible. you get to see how, to this day, none of the people's help has helped. It's just moving my stuff from one place to another, to another, to another. But that's stupid. But that's what I'm forced to do. I am bullied everywhere I go. Meanwhile, people type at me, have you tried going to the homeless shelter? Oh, Shawn, I'll look stuff up. Please don't. Don't get me wrong, I'm fine with you looking it up, but please listen so you know what's going on. Please talk to me one-on-one. Please understand that these people typing all this stuff on here are overwhelming me. Someone calling themselves Jasmine Hildenberg type, hi Holly, aka Baby Angel. Apparently this is a duplicate account from that Holly lady who I kicked off my channel. She just wanted to get on here and tell me what to do over and over and over again. Dismissing everything that I said, dismissing my disability. She made lots of suggestions, lots of people do. But it's overwhelming. Yanni Balani typed, nowadays the homeless population's problem is shaped into an economic model. Yes, absolutely. See, that's the thing with all these folks who wanted to assume what help I need, assume what a safe place was. A safe place was a safe place where I could sit down with my evidence and make a police report. You get to see how time and time again, how I was bullied by the police, how they played it off, how they played head games. But are any of you helping me to turn this in? Are any of you coordinating with me so that you can receive the evidence and hear things that really I don't have any reason to trust any of you, but I have no other choice. I have to get help. Help stopping abuse that is obviously not a figment of my imagination. You guys make fun of mentally ill people. Now let's talk about reactions. When you're going through this much abuse and you're separated from your loved ones, you have PTSD and people are preying on that. People are wanting to pretend that because you're hypervigilant, because you're abused so often and talked over, that's one of the tenets of being autistic, is that people don't really give a shit what you have to say. You're assumed to be retarded, and they treat you that way. Now, impending doom, that also is a schizophrenic trait, isn't it? But there's a difference. Just like hypervigilance is different than paranoia. Hypervigilance means those things are actually happening and you have reason to look over your shoulder. Paranoia could be justified paranoia, which is hypervigilance, or unjustified paranoia, like if you're afraid that Satan is going to come up with a whole bunch of angels and magical unicorns and take away your birthday party. That's pretty unreasonable. Impending doom. If you're schizophrenic and you have the feeling of impending doom, you're afraid of what? I'm afraid of this actually happening. What's happened to my vehicle? What's happened to my body? I'm afraid of things that are actually happening. My email address is doggedroman@gmail.com. You can message me there. We'll try to put this up so you guys can read it. I'm sorry if it's blurry. There should be a way that you can scan it, take a couple of screenshots a few seconds away and put them together. It says right there that they do advocacy, but they didn't. What they wanted me to do was come back for therapy over and over and over again, which was expensive. There's a video recording with Marcia Estrada on my channel. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm angry with her too. Just like with everyone else, I told them about the abuse. She even outlines the type of abuse that I'm going through and explains that she knows many of the people that I'm trying to turn in and knows of many others. The video is called Marcia Estrada, Limhp. There's also a lot of the witnesses, professionals, that they did not do their jobs. After Natalie was killed, instead of coming forward, instead of speaking with me, they made every attempt to beat around the bush, play stupid, and say they needed to be subpoenaed or they weren't allowed to do anything. Weren't allowed to do anything unless they were subpoenaed. And my public pretenders didn't give a shit. They didn't try talking to my mental health professionals. They didn't bother talking with the people that I'd already been seeing. They would only try to have me rubber stamped by taking me to a hospital and telling the hospital I was schizophrenic. I've got paperwork from Longmont Hospital where the doctor from that hospital explains that they didn't see any of those behaviors. None of them. There's people here in town who claim that they would help me, but I showed that evidence too for a reason, because they were going to speak up. But they needed to be informed. They needed to know the truth. Instead of just believing me, which is what people keep saying. Oh, I believe you, Shawn. I believe you. Don't believe me. Look at evidence so you can verify it. So that when I'm talked over with a false narrative, you know better. You know well enough to speak up instead of just standing there twiddling your thumbs because you didn't hear anything. You didn't try. For 5 months, Nathan and Candy were going to help me to turn in the abuse. For 5 months, it didn't happen. Finally, I was able to get a temporary protection order. But then with the bullying from Martinez, Officer Martinez here, and Officer Lothman that needed to be turned in. And with those people not taking the time to come informed because they were busy telling me what to do, what to think, and what to feel. They'd volunteer to help me move my stuff over and over again, or move it out to their place and it'll save me some money. But the thing is, I need to have access to that evidence. And I still have to have a storage unit. There's still stuff in my storage unit. There's still evidence in my storage unit. So it didn't save me any money. It just cut me off from any access that I had to it. Meanwhile, Candy is expecting me to tell her to be able to how to do these things that there's no way in hell unless she's there. No, I can't remember the names of all the videos. A lot of times I have to scroll through to find the videos, and hopefully I remember the right ones. Now let's talk about natural reactions to abuse. If you've been assaulted at the hospital, like I was, by Dr. Stephanides, and then they want to send me to the hospital, or send me that same doctor when I get to the hospital, a doctor I've been trying to turn in for over a year. No, it's not safe to go there. And then they don't care about the abuse. What they care about is, do you have natural responses to this kind of abuse? How many of the people at Safeway, literally all of them, with the exception of a couple of the upper echelon, every person that I went to about my abuse wanted to volunteer violence. Candy wanted to talk over and over again about violence. about getting violent, about how I should. Their suggestion was that I hurt others over and over and over again, instead of helping me to turn in the abuse that many of them saw with their own two eyes. Their suggestion was that I get a taser and taser them. I got a taser. I can't bring myself to do it. They tell me to get bear mace. I'll never do it again. I got bear mace. I can't bring myself to use it. Meanwhile, my predators in the Ballinger family and their extended helpers that have stalked me, they were able to get their words heard in court from wherever they were. They were able to put little bits and snippets of things that they took out of context, and I've been trying to show that that's not allowed. That is malicious prosecution. Then there's the parts where it was civil court and I was illegally prevented from going. Then there was the fact that this abuse happened in multiple jurisdictions, multiple states, and I had to go to court in multiple states. And that's where my disability money was going. While you tell me, oh, you need to get a primary care physician, why don't you settle down somewhere? Why don't you settle down somewhere? Well, you're also trying to tell me, why don't you move somewhere else? Why don't you move on? Why don't you let it go? Why don't you this? Why don't you that? Because I'm still taking the abuse. Well, you make the excuse of, oh, well, if you didn't record it, they wouldn't do it. Are you sure about that? Because most of these people committed crimes not knowing I was recording because they didn't pay any attention. A lot of these people came up to me while I was in the middle of making a recording to commit crimes against me. Repeatedly. And these people at the hospital, they don't care if you're being abused. They're not going to do their jobs as mandated reporters for a disabled homeless adult, especially if he's a male. They want to know if you want to harm yourself or others. Well, with what I'm going through, wouldn't you want your life to end? Being separated from your loved ones, having your name slandered all over the internet and in real life. You can't move anywhere because Natalie Ballinger's story is so popular. And then, of course, people want to tell me it's my fault for speaking out. If I didn't speak out about abuse, I wouldn't be abused. How many of you are going to pretend that rape is okay when it's not? How many of you are going to say, oh, well, if you're raped and you speak up about your rapist raping you, then it's your fault for speaking up. It's your fault that you were raped because you spoke up. That's horrible. And that's what you guys do when you type this ignorant shit. You are victim blaming and victim shaming just because I have a penis. And then there's people like Cynthia. She knows the trick question. Do you want to harm yourself or others? At the hospital the other night, that lady re-asked the question 5 different ways. All she wanted was for me to say that I wanted to harm myself or others so that she could have me locked up. That's it. They didn't give a fuck about anything else. When it comes to trauma, hypervigilance, one of the signs of severe male trauma is men who can't shut up. Meanwhile, as men, much of the help that we're offered is from women, and it's help that doesn't help us. Many women are taught that they're supposed to help us by saying pretty words. You just need to love yourself. A bird in the hand is worth 2 in a bush. Or you tell a story about a Japanese teacup that when it chips, instead of throwing it away, you fill it with gold. You fill in the crack with gold. Great, you told me a story. What the fuck does that have to do with turning in abuse? What the fuck does that have to do with turning in assaults? What does that do to actually stop it? What does that do to help to get me a safety and support network in person? In Boulder, Colorado, when I had several dozen people wanted to help me by telling me, hey, I found the address for a local shelter. Thank you for trying, but I already know where the local shelter is. That's not a safe place, and I'll tell you why. That was right after Lee disappeared. And everywhere that I went, people were assaulting me, or they were assaulting each other over whether I did that to Natalie or not. Did I kill Natalie or not? No, I didn't. I was the homeless liaison there for a lot of years. Everyone knew me. Afterwards, it became popular to hate me, to threaten my life. Every time Alicia Ballinger disappeared after Natalie died, people get a hold of me to threaten to kill me and my friends and family. It's pretty easy to tell when another one of these popular YouTube things makes another thing about Natalie and bullshits through the whole thing, making me a target. When they do that, it makes me a target. And you say it's my fault for having mental goddamn breakdowns from abuse. I deserve it for having mental breakdowns from abuse on YouTube. I deserve it because I'm angry enough to curse because you don't hear me when I speak softly. When I try to be calm and collected, you talk over everything I say and nothing I say is important. Your suggestions show it. If people are threatening to kill your friends and family, is it not a natural reaction to want to harm them? That's not my natural reaction, though. My natural reaction is to try to show them the truth. Jesus fucking Christ, what do you think I've been doing this whole time? I've been begging people to look at the truth. Look at the evidence. Look at both sides. Stop harming me over people slandering my name. Stop pretending that I must be the bad guy because people take advantage of me. What's the natural reaction to going through this much abuse and your friends and family just want to tell you what to do, think, and feel, and it's all wrong? They want you to download this app and buy this and get that and buy a ticket to here, buy a ticket to there. If you get here or get there, they'll be able to help you, and you get there and they're all fucking drunk or fucked up on methamphetamines. And they want to use you as a pawn in their fucking drunken ass goddamn arguments. Yanni Balani type, but when you say to those, no, I don't want to hurt or kill them, well, you can go back on my channel and hear that. People say, well, Shawn, you know what? It's not right for them to be hurting you. You should be allowed to defend yourself. I know I should. I know I should. And these people who want to talk about violence, and I say, hey, I need help turning it in, not harming these people. Cynthia wanted to over and over and over again talk about hurting Andrew Wolnez or having her husband hurt Andrew Wolnez. And I'm like, no, that's not what I want. People pretend that because, well, Yanni Balani is typing right there, then they get very suspicious and untrusting towards you. Yep, exactly. Like you don't want help because you don't want them to beat people up. The thing is, with you telling me that I should get violent against these people, look at what happens. If people just pretend that I might. Leslie Snell works for the sheriff. Her and her husband, well, her husband anyway, was implicated in death threats against my life. Her and the sheriff, an officer who was involved in Natalie Ballinger's case, and a registered Nebraska sex offender named Robert Franklin Mornick worked together to have me put in prison on misdemeanors that they had to drop the charges on. Because I was trying to turn them in. Because I was trying to show evidence. And Scott DaCosta and his deputies were allowed to bully me and play stupid for 18 months. Fuck, I used that as an ashtray. People want to type about their religious crap too. Like their religious is going to fix it. We got somebody typing private messages that is getting blocked from my channel. He wants to type about how he needs to take a massive crap. Okay, well, that doesn't stop abuse. That doesn't get my whole story heard. People doing these things to me, yes, I want it to stop. But the evidence of the actual assaults is on this channel. The way that police are able to abuse the mentally ill bullshit to have you harmed. And you have to go to the hospital, and the hospital uses the mentally ill bullshit to have you harmed. If people are threatening to kill you and your family, and you're going to the hospital because of the harm caused by it, and you're treated at the hospital like you're a fucking drug addict, not okay. That's why you have to have a friend or family member there. And if they can't be there in person, they need to call over the phone, and they need to explain these things are happening. You get to hear in conversation after conversation with the police how they try to literally talk over me and sell a false narrative, which is not useful. They know when I'm telling details that they will have to, by law, do something about. 988, 911, 211, and they'll talk over that part, especially if you're trying to turn in police officers who did wrong things. Wrong things because you had to go alone. What they're supposed to do, they're supposed to coordinate with mental health. If they're going to go that route, not pawn you off on mental health and make you go by yourself. But a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. Why don't you move elsewhere? You just got to love yourself. People pretend that because I'm trying the same thing after all these years that I'm not trying. I'm trying a lot of different things. But the most important is having a civilian oversight, your friend or family member to advocate. Because without a friend or family member advocating, a place like this is not going to advocate. See how much charge I have on my phone, 53%. Nobody's helped me to turn in a single crime that's been committed against me. Laura Nelson went in with me to do so, and she didn't say a word. Why? Because she was afraid that she was going to be recorded and posted on YouTube. Well, she wouldn't have been posted on YouTube if she'd have spoken up. Now, she did verify much of what I said in that video by nodding her head. She also told Shawn Holloway that she was afraid for her son. And he entirely blew her off. That was right after I turned off the recording. She told him that. And by law, he should have done something. But she waited until the recording was off to say it. The hospital, TFCC, 911, 988, 211, literally all of them. And the lifeline, the suicide hotline. None of them care if you're abused. You get to hear in those conversations how hard I fight to get them to do their jobs as mandated reporters, and they're going out of their way to literally lie about the law and make up excuses not to do their jobs. To reword everything that I say about the police. All of a sudden, it's allegedly. No, there's videos of this shit. It ain't allegedly. Then they tell me, oh, well, I can't see the video through the phone. Yeah, I'm well aware of that. But that's not what you were saying just a second ago when I was telling you about the other people who are abusing me. No, you just magically start playing magic retard. Retard. As soon as I start talking about your coworkers, about other mandated reporters. That's why you need a friend or family member to do it with you. And that's what I needed before Natalie died. That's what I needed after Natalie died. And what I got was people like, well, Michelle Yoko Stewart. She claimed that she would help me to turn it in. That if she wasn't able to call me soon, that she would give me a message so that I knew what was going on. That she wasn't going to blow me off. She knew that right there in specific is what makes me want to the most. That was stupid. Neglect. I'm supposed to turn it in right away. So what did she do? She ignored me for 2 weeks. While I took assaults. While people threw things at my vehicle, screamed racial slurs. Followed me everywhere I went, honking their horns. All around this town. And Michelle Yoko Stewart was going to help turn it in. She was going to help turn it in. She made a couple of nice videos. Now, why did Michelle Yoko Stewart finally try to get involved? Because after she had pretended that she was going to help me, pretended that she would help me to stop this abuse, if I accepted her friend request on Facebook, and I was going through and I was cleaning house, all the people that were just here because it was entertainment to them, I was telling them to get the hell off my channel. And she wanted to type that she was sorry and she was going to help me. That she understood. And then literally for 2 weeks, she ignored every single message that I sent her. Then when she got back, she was angry with me. Hateful. Oh, Shawn, people have lives. People have real lives. Yes, but you promised me. You promised me that you weren't going to do that. You knew that friends of mine in real life had done that to me over and over and over again. And that right there is what made me want my life to no longer exist. It wasn't the physical abuse or the psychological abuse from Natalie Ballinger's druggy friends or Tim Beeson. It was the kick to the fucking teeth when I went to my friends and said, hey, people are assaulting me. Have you tried moving elsewhere? Yeah, 7 years ago. I tried moving. I never tried moving to Virginia. I was going to be there long enough to see Brett Roloff, long enough to help that young lady move into wherever the hell she and her son needed to go, to see Natalie Ballinger heal up, and then go home to Boulder. That was my plan. Natalie was suicidal because of her family, and our messages show that. Well, Tim Beeson got a hold of her in Virginia, and she had to cancel with me repeatedly because Tim Beeson was calling her up and saying he was going to blow his head off if she didn't take him back. And you treat me like I'm the motherfucker who couldn't take no for an answer. Please, send me a message to doggedroman@gmail.com and I will forward to you a message from Natalie Ballinger from 2016. It's literally the message that I exposed Ted Ballinger with on December 12th of 2017. I said I would retaliate if she didn't call off the dogs, and I did by showing the truth with her words. The whole thing. I didn't pull out little bits and pieces. to try to make her seem like she was worse than she was. And you get to see every time one of these popular sites makes another Natalie Ballinger story and paints me as a fucking horrible monster, you get to see how much more the violence in real life kicks into high gear. And you tell me it's my fault if I didn't speak up wherever I go. Well, I speak up for a reason, because I am a disabled adult who is being abused over crimes that he didn't fucking commit. I was literally forced to commit crimes to try to show my evidence. You know how fucked up that is? Because my friends and family who claimed that they were going to help. Instead, it's, did you get this app? Did you get that app? Did you call this place? Did you call that place? I got another number for you. Are you going to call with me and tell them I'm being harmed? Dina G typed, Natalie wasn't a good person anyway. Actually, I think you'd be surprised. Natalie is the most wonderful person I ever knew in real life. It isn't her and I's interaction in real life that was the problem. It was her and her sister being strung out on fucking drugs. That was the problem. I went to Virginia, absolutely, at Natalie's request, and she was trying to go there to get sober. She was trying to go there to get away from her dad, to get away from Tim Beeson, to get away from the boss that she had that was a family friend. He fired her because she wouldn't have sex with him, and she typed that to me in our messages between each other. And you pretend we were not friends, but we absolutely were. doggedroman@gmail.com. I will forward you the message from Natalie Marie Ballinger. When all of my friends threw me away because my back was hurt, and I had no friends, I had people who typed pretty shit at me on Facebook. Like, you just gotta love yourself. You ever try getting a job? Why don't you just get a job? You know, if you got a job, you'd feel better. Why don't you just ignore those people? Dinah G typed, why did she accuse you of stalking her? Well, that's pretty simple. She was fucking embarrassed. Let me put it into perspective for you, because this is a perspective going through my head when I was stuck outside of her house. She invited me to stay there, to go visit her. And then she threatened to kill herself if I didn't, so I went. Halfway there, my vehicle broke down. All of the money that I had to go visit, I had to spend to turn around. Jamie Curtis, Rapid City, South Dakota, needed a rescue from James Payton. So I went all the way back there to rescue Jamie and her son and help them move out of that shitty situation with Todd Rust of Chapel, Nebraska. And then I had to go back to Chapel, Nebraska and earn the money to go see Natalie. By that point, well, she'd wrapped her car around a telephone pole because I wasn't there fast enough. So you damn right I made sure I made it. And there was a lot of other people I was going there to see too. Now, when I got there, because I'd rescued Jamie, I didn't have any money. I had to sell things on the road so that I would have money for a phone, so that I could actually put minutes on my phone. I had to sell things to have gas to get there. Obviously not drugs. By the time I finally got there was a situation with her family that they wouldn't be understanding. They didn't understand how we loved each other as friends. Now you look at the messages between Natalie and I and the messages between Alicia and I during that period of time. They're not much different. The difference is I got to spend a lot of time with Alicia Ballinger. She invited me over for every smoke break, invited me over to have lunch with her. Told me to come over and meet her after she got done with her boss's meeting. I didn't stay behind Natalie's work for weeks. I was invited to stay behind Alicia Ballinger's work. That phone that was all busted. That used to be Natalie's old phone, and it was busted as shit. And the one that she was using was busted as shit, too, if that tells you anything about the phone that I got for my birthday. It was used, and it was busted. I was grateful for it. It took over 2 hours, because Alicia Ballinger worked at the Cricket store at the time. It took over 2 hours to get the number changed over and get it into her name. Like I said, she was trying to do nice things. But that phone, it was a smartphone that was busted and did its own thing, and I was arguing with people on it that are in South Dakota at the time. Might have been Montana, that's what it was. Because it was Tyler Frerichs' friend. He couldn't even type the N-word right. You know? I shouldn't have been arguing with him to begin with. I was having a rough time. I was dehydrated. Natalie wanted to have a conversation with me one-on-one. I kept telling her I got time. We had plenty of time, and I was wrong. Now, for over a year, well, let's start off with when I got my car stuck and that broken phone, and I was treated as I was a stalker. That's why I was treated like I was a stalker, because of that broken phone and my car getting stuck. When I went there to explain, hey, I am severely dehydrated. I am overwhelmed. I am scared shitless. I can't sleep. Alicia quit her job, so I don't have anyone there except for the people at Starbucks, like her boyfriend to talk to, and he's busy working. I'm stranded here in Chesapeake, Virginia. I have no way to get home. They pretended I was a stalker. The police broke my vehicle. They didn't arrest me on stalking like Natalie pretended. It wasn't hours that I was in the road, and I only honked the horn because somebody drove by me and honked their horn, and I was afraid because it was a blind corner in Virginia that somebody might run into the side of me like a family of 6 in a minivan. So I laid on my horn. And I knew how it was going to be construed. Of course, Natalie was going to be embarrassed. Here's this old guy that she invited to come to Virginia. He came to Virginia. He did everything that her and her sister wanted to the best of his ability. But now, after a bunch of fucked up shit with the phone that he just got, he's stuck out in the road honking his horn. Yeah, I knew that could be construed in a really fucked up way. That wasn't my intention. But they didn't care. Natalie was embarrassed that there's this fucking homeless dude stuck outside of her house blaring his fucking horn. I understood completely. That's why I fucking left. That's why I drove 1,700 miles to get away from Virginia. There's a conversation with Moose on this channel, M-O-O-S-E. His name is Brett Roloff. The conversation with Moose, you'll get to see the picture of it. It's a sink in a bathroom in Cheyenne, Wyoming. And he's talking about how he remembers when he was inviting me to go back after the situation in 2016, when my back was all fucked up. And the only friends that I had were Natalie Ballinger, Alicia Ballinger, and Maddie Bowe. Those are the only people who actually came to talk to me, actually came to see me, actually called me to see if I was okay. Those three and nobody else. Not Kayla Trujillo, not Eric Schwartz, not Tara Lee Lawton, not Angela K. Wade, not Teresa Orn, not Joanna Taylor Smith. No, it was Natalie and Alicia and Maddie who rescued me after I hurt my back and everybody forgot I existed. So when I was in Virginia seeing them, I was glad to see them. When they pretended that I stalked them because they were embarrassed, I left. When Brett Roloff invited me back, in that recording with him, he admits me saying to him that I wasn't comfortable going there and being that close to Natalie and her family. But you don't want to hear that. Meanwhile, I got to go to Nebraska and try to get low income there, which I did. And I was going to therapy there, and I had to drive every week. I had to drive to Sidney, Nebraska, and then back to Chapel, Nebraska for therapy. Therapy, that's right. These people were getting a hold of me on the internet and threatening to kill me and my friends and family. They were harassing me in emails, on Facebook. They were calling me over and over and over again. And you don't stop to realize how harmful that is, especially for somebody who is dependent on their friends and family for safety, and I couldn't go see them. And Natalie went back to the same old people with the same old drugs. And when I needed help stopping the abuse, and I got a hold of her, I had to unblock her and her sister. That's right. When I left Virginia, I blocked her, I blocked her sister, and I blocked Maddie Boa. You don't get to pretend like you've been victimized, resulting in me being harmed, and still expect that I want to be your friend. I did still want to be her friend. I wanted to be all of their friend, but I was respecting their wishes and leaving. While you pretend that I drove 1,700 miles against Natalie Ballinger's will to go stalk her in Virginia. And then I drove 1,700 miles to stalk her against her will in Colorado. I was in Colorado first. I didn't follow her to Colorado. She followed me there. And I didn't even know she was there. And in none of our messages, not a single one, do I ever ask where she's at or who she's with, because I didn't care. I wasn't trying to be intrusive on her life and control her life and everybody she was with. I just wanted people to stop assaulting me as if I was Ted Ballinger or Tim Beeson. I get that she was fucking embarrassed, but look what I'm going through to this day over her being embarrassed. And then, of course, we got people getting on here with fake accounts. What are they doing? Pretending I'm on drugs. That's right. If a man is experiencing trauma and he's showing trauma, then, of course, you pretend he's on drugs, don't you? Hide user on this channel. Now, how many of these guys do we get on here in the average day? The police are the ones who are supposed to do this job. Dinah G type, why would she even be embarrassed of that? Of me being stuck in the middle of the road? Because look at it from her perspective. I'm in the middle of the road honking my horn, laying it on. And she's at her mom's house. She's got a busted leg. Her sister's there. Her mom's there. Why wouldn't she be embarrassed? She invited me to go to Virginia. And then, under threat of her killing herself, pushed me to go to Virginia. And then how do I repay her kindness? By parking outside of her house and honking my horn like an asshole. That's the way that she saw it. That's the way that her mom saw it. Her mom walked out of the house and said, I'm going to call the cops. And I mouthed the word thank you. There's a reason I mouthed the word thank you. I was fucking stuck. Dinah G typed, it's unjustified. You know what? I agree. If they'd have bothered to take a look at the situation or to listen to me, allow me to defend myself instead of assuming the worst and pretending I'm some sort of a monster who needs to be harmed. It was Natalie Ballinger's old phone that I was given, and my phone number that all of my friends had, that I was paying the bill for on that flip phone. She transferred it over to that broken phone that used to be Natalie's because she worked at Cricket. She transferred it over so it was in her name, so she was going to pay the bill. And when they were embarrassed, I lost that phone number. I couldn't have that phone number anymore. I couldn't pay the bill. I couldn't nothing. So nobody could get a hold of me. So I was stuck, only able to communicate with people on Facebook, trying to get help. Well, people type shit at me like, you just need to love yourself. Oh, Shawn, you should come see me. You should come see me. And I'd show up, and they didn't. They didn't show up. Teresa Orn didn't show up. A lot of people didn't show up. And when you say that it's unjustified, well, you know what? In her mind, it was justified. She was fucked up on drugs at the time, but whatever. The last time I saw Natalie Marie Ballinger was on my birthday in 2016. It was just going to be me and her in the driveway at her mom's house. We were going to have that talk that she wanted so bad. But you know what? She wasn't the only one who wanted her life to end. Mine was horrible too. The people that I was arguing with. Later on, these were the very same friends that people like Tim Beeson were threatening to kill. Miss Jerry had stopped being friends with me over a racist post by her son Tyler. Her son Tyler's friend was getting a hold of me and wanting to be a racist jerk and bully me over that post because I spoke up about how wrong it is. Anyway, we're gonna hide another user on this channel because he's just being a bully, calling himself Solar Tab, apparently. You see how inappropriate it is to make me try to go public like this for help? It's horrible. Since this person calling himself Jake Cheesegrater can't stop being a troll, he's gone too. If you're not here to help, what are you here for? I'm overwhelmed with the number of times that I've been assaulted and blown off. About the fact that literally the only time you actually care is if I do something back. If I scream or curse, then I should burn in hell. Meanwhile, why am I screaming and cursing? Because people are busting out my fucking windows, assaulting me everywhere I go, accusing me of being a child molester and a rapist and a murderer. Every time Alicia Ballinger goes on a fucking bender and disappears for a few days, you start getting a hold of me and threatening to kill me and my friends and family again. Where's Alicia Ballinger? Where's Alicia Ballinger? Meanwhile, all these witnesses that want to talk to me, do they ever come forward to the police with me? No, they don't. They help my predators to get away. We got this person calling themselves K Hall typing "you're just high." And what do we get? Hide user on this channel. Good riddance. These Natalie Ballinger sites don't care what the truth is. None of them bother to get a hold of me and look at the evidence. The one guy who pretended that he would never followed through. And you guys pretend that because a guy curses when he's being harmed, that he deserves that harm. This person calling themselves Ferocity Perfected typed, "Are you okay?" No, I'm not okay. You should probably go back to the very beginning of the video. Yeah. Dinah G type, "What does Alicia think of this?" She doesn't care. Alicia Ballinger and Natalie Ballinger were fighting over a boy while I was in Virginia. Natalie thought she was in love with me. The fact they both typed the same stuff, kept on typing that they loved me over and over and over again. They were definitely taking it the wrong way, that's for sure. Whether or not I'm the boy that they were fighting over or not, neither one of them stood a chance. I'm not into sex. I let Natalie and Alicia Ballinger know that I was being assaulted, that people were treating me like a fucking pedophile, like a rapist, all the way in November of 2016. Less than a month after I left there, I had to unblock them to say, hey, I'm being assaulted in Boulder, Colorado for shit that never happened. What the fuck? But you really think that Alicia Ballinger wants to admit that, well, she can't come forward and pretend like I raped her? That'll lead on her conscience, won't it? Making a false accusation like that. But it's no big deal if it's other people making that false accusation. It's no big deal if she lets them believe that. And that's what it comes down to. Letting them believe whatever excuse it makes it okay to hurt me with. All of these predators, like her ex-stepmothers, all of that should have been supervised. A friend or family member should have been involved in those communications, instead of allowing them to sell whatever narrative they wanted after the fact. Oh, poor them. They're victims of the evil Shawn Schwartz. Richard Kent type, what's next? Something has to change. Well, you could send me an email, doggedroman@gmail.com, and you can share evidence. You can share evidence of the abuse that I'm going through. Ferocity perfected type, it keeps getting worse. No, it doesn't. You really think this is worse than Colorado or Nebraska? You really think this is worse than California? You think this is worse than the Dalles, Oregon, or Hood River, Oregon, or Portland, Oregon? No, it's not. It's not worse. No, it's been a steady stream of this the whole time. The worst time, though, the worst time, bar none, was right after Natalie was killed. I was assaulted at least 15 times in like a 5-day period. I got to witness multiple assaults by my friends against each other over whether or not I killed Natalie Ballinger. Gilberto Trinidad type, Wyoming is best state. No, it's not. I've been to Wyoming and Tennessee since Natalie's death, and I've been victimized in both. Had that mentally ill crap used in both, while I'm being victimized in both. I was in Bristol, Tennessee. Yeah, Brett Roloff. After Natalie died, I did go to see him. By that time, he'd moved from North Carolina to Bristol, Tennessee. Well, Bristol, Virginia. He was on the Virginia side of the line. And he was going to help me. What ended up happening? He was all strung out on meth, and him and his girlfriend used me as a pawn in all their arguments. Tennessee's nasty. Virginia's nasty. Wyoming, hell. When I was in Wyoming, there were 3 anonymous calls made by people about the abuse by Rand Ingersoll towards Amy Kalina Kingery's 2 daughters. Then there was the 3 anonymous calls by me. Then there were the 3 direct calls by me that were recorded on YouTube channel. And none of that mattered. What I ultimately had to do was go pull some garbage out of a garbage can, the whole bag, and set it on the ground next to the garbage. I did that with 3 garbage bags, and I left. And ran and called the cops. Life happens. That's what it took to get those girls safe. Now we got these people talking about open carry. Yes, guns are more important than the truth, aren't they? Gilberto, I'm just going to block you. I don't need this. I need help turning this in. Please go to doggedroman@gmail.com. Send me an email. I will forward you the message that I exposed Ted Ballinger with. I didn't threaten to kill Natalie Ballinger and her family. I threatened to expose them, and I fucking did. I exposed them with Natalie Ballinger's words, and you goddamn right, she was real embarrassed after that. She wanted revenge. She wanted vengeance. How dare I tell the truth about her drug addiction? How dare I tell the truth about her friends harming me repeatedly? How dare I? There are videos in November and December of 2017 where I was outlining what I was going through publicly because none of my friends would do anything except, did you try moving? A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. You know, you shouldn't care what other people think. Gilberto wants to know why block me. Because you're not adding anything useful. I don't give a fuck what state you think is the best. What I give a fuck about is turning in abuse. So please go to doggedroman@gmail.com. I will forward you an email from Natalie Ballinger in 2016 while we were friends about the abuse, about her family. I've been showing this evidence over and over and over again. I have to worry about turning this off, but my battery's running low. I have to try to get some help, and I'm going to check my emails to see if anybody sent me a message. All right, Gilberto Trinidad type of girl told that she doesn't like me, and I cry. All right, let me guess. The next thing this person's going to type is that they're 9. Ferocity perfected type Gilberto, nobody fucking cares. Yeah, that's the thing, is that Gilberto cares. That's why Gilberto's doing that. These other trolls, they care. You get to see how people who are predatory towards me, they spend a lot of time being actively predatory towards me. Who actively helps me to turn in the assaults or the vandalism or the threats against my life and my friends or family's lives? And who waits after promising that they're going to help? Who goes out of their way to just waste my time for weeks or even months at a time? Anyway, my email address is doggedroman@gmail.com. Send me a message. I'll forward you a message from Natalie Ballinger, and you can see it with your own 2 eyes. Natalie Ballinger was my friend. And when her and I were no longer friends, that didn't mean that I didn't care about her. It meant that I needed to do what was best for my safety, for my mental health, and that was to go home to Boulder and see my friends and family. Unfortunately, Maddie Boa spread rumors before I even got there. It took me 3 days to drive from Virginia to Boulder, Colorado. I was only there a few hours when I received the first assault, the first of many. You go back to the beginning of this video, you can see the aftermath of last night's excursions with these predators like Andrew Wolnez. Predators like Timothy Sadler. Predators like Chris Stafford. You know how we end these videos. Good to be rid of you. Thank you for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper and your sister's keeper too, and no victim left behind. Gilberto, thank you for being 27 and not 9. Be safe. Fernando, I highly recommend you go back to the very beginning of the video and take a look at the mess that I'm cleaning up. There's also video of how that shit happened. Fucking hell. Please.